Happy good morning to everyone. Today's class is a revision class of previous taken topics from the introductions to till the chair positions that is taken on yesterday or day before yesterday on Thursday. So let's move on to the class. So basically we leave the introduction of operated industry and conservative industry. Just we can start with the nomenclature in operated industry. As we know, nomenclature doesn't mean a set of terms in the communication by individuals in the same profession that enables them to understand one another better. That means, for a small example, in your condition, if you say the term dental caries to your father or mother, they will not know, even though they are like little bit more prone to know for more English words. The term will be more unoften, that is not more reliable to hear. So this thing is better understandable with the same profession, that is a dentist can understand the terminology from another dentist, or a doctor like a MBBS doctor can understand the doctor's terms. So this can be changed in every professions. If you go to some IT sectors, they will have some keywords. The keywords will be changing, but this why we keep these terms is it makes the work easier. That means they can able to understand the point, what you're going to convey, the message or anything can be easily recognized by the person. So that is called as a nomenclature. So nomenclature coming to the in dentistry, it can be a mainly function of a nomenclature is coming into the classification of tooth numbering system. The tooth numbering system is a very important and very important to start any type of treatment, or any type of treatment procedure protocols can be done with the help of the tooth numbering systems. Naturally, we are having a two sets of teething, that is a primary and a permanent dentition. So if you together if you take, it is a moreover it's a 52 teeth. Okay, more the primary and the deciduous teeth, which is a 52 teeth. For the easy understandable from the any type of perspective of a dentist, they made many classifications, French system, Dutch system, Boswell system, or many other systems, US system, many things are came. But we use mainly the three popular systems are Zsigmondy or a Palmer system, and ADA system or universal number system, and there's a FDA, that is a Federation Dental International system. Okay, coming to Zsigmondy and Palmer system, it is a very old system, and it's having a called as a grid or angular system. So what is a grid or angular system? In this system, the primary dentition are denoted by the English uppercase letters, that is a capital letters, English capital letters. In the permanent dentition, it is denoted by a number. Okay, that is the difference between the primary and a permanent dentition. So for the example, the upper one shows the first thing is shows the primary, that is it starts from the A B C D E, that is the five letters which corresponding the quadrants as well as the teeth. So the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 is will be a tooth. So if you see this, that means this is called as an angular. This is called as angular. So why we call it as angular? So I want to designate this as a for a primary dentition, I want to say the upper incisor. So upper incisor is I want to say the one, that is the first glass of a central incisor. So I will draw like this and I will mark A. So this will tells that is the first quadrant upper incisor. If I am going to lower quadrant, if I am going to say the lower lateral incisor, I will mark like this and I will mark A. That will come into the lower central incisor. So this will be giving the angular system. So coming to the same criteria which comes to the permanent system, we same the same angular fashion, but number is alone given. If a 1 is given, designation number is 1 is given, then it's going to be a incisor, that is the upper central incisor. If I'm going to draw the same pattern but different number, I'm going to mark as 8. So that means upper, that is the upper right maxillary, that is a maxillary right first the third molar, that is the we are going to given this expressions, right? So this is how you should be able to classify the Zinmondi system, right? So coming to the ADA system or unit system, it is a worldwide applied system and it's called as very easy to understand from the patient perspective as well as the dental perspective. So primary dentition are denoted by consecutive English uppercase letters starting from maxillary second molar. The primary teeth are indicated by number 1 to 32. This is how they will be classified, and this is how the chart will be given. So coming to from the left hand side, the first number is called as the upper right. What is the number? 1. So the 1 resides the third molar or a second molar. That is the third molar we are seeing this. The second will be a second molar. The 3 will be designating the first molar. The 4 will be the second premolar. And primary teeth the same thing, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I like that, right? Come to the FDA system. This is also refers to as a 2G system, but it's a very easy and it will be designated by the quadrants, to which 1, 2, 3, 4 is aligned as quadrant. In that quadrant number we will include a tooth number also. For permanent dentition we will give us a 1 to 4 and the tooth a number from 1 to 8. That is, the quadrants are 4 quadrants and number of 1 to 8 will be designating the tooth number. That is from the central incisor to the third molar will be a 1 to 8 on the left hand side, right hand side, lower and upper. Same like that. Coming to the dentition, it will start from 5 to 8. That is the quadrant 4 is coming to the permanent tooth. The primary tooth, it will come from the 5 to 8. So, and the tooth will be having 1 to 5, right? So this is the thing, and this is how the FDA numbering system will be given. So most commonly we are using in our colleges or anywhere in the country in India, we can go for a FDA system. So that is a very acceptable and very easy for the dentist to understand the terminology easier. Coming to the various terminology which is used for the surfaces of the tooth. So if you want to recognize which part of the tooth I am going to study, or which part of the tooth I am going to go for a tooth preparation or cavity preparation will be done, so that portion should be having some names, so that will be easy to understand and easy to perform that procedure. So the coronal portion is divided into surfaces, that is the mesial surface, distal surface, labial, buccal and facial. So for anterior tooth, anterior having, that is a central incisor. If you take example, the central is having the front surface is called as the labial surface, and the mesial means the surface of the tooth closest to the anterior midline, that is called as the mesial, which is away from the midline, it is called as the distal. So the back of the tooth is called as a labial, or the back of the tooth is called as a palatal surface. Okay, so buccal and facial, where the buccal and facial words coming, when your cheek is getting inside, that is called as a buccal. That means the lower molars are the upper molars which having a buccal surface. Okay, so that is the terminology which is given for a buccal. So facial means patient's face. So facial face, okay, towards the patient face which is having most probably the anterior tooths. Okay, so in this diagram representation you can give the two views, incisal view and occlusal view. Incisal view coming for your anteriors or the incisors, and occlusal view coming for your premolars and molars. The incisal view can see a labial, distal, mesial and lingual. Occlusively you can see a buccal, distal, mesial and lingual. Okay. So lingual. What the lingual surface? Lingual surface, that means you can see the tongue. That is the lingual surface. Incisal surface, the functional edge of anterior tooth. Occlusal surface, the masting surface of the posterior tooth. And cervical region, that is near the CAJ, that is called as the cervical region. That is the cervix of the tooth. And gingival is more nearer to the gingival apparatus. Okay. The terminology related to the dental caries. So dental caries, as you know before, dental caries is an infectious microbiological disease of a teeth that results in a localized dissolution of the calcified tissue. That means it's a very infectious microbiology. It's a microbe infection disease which leads to localized, that is only a part of the area is getting demineralized or dissolution of the calcified, that is hydroxyapatite crystals getting decalcified because of this microbial invasion. The basic causative factor for the microbial invasion will be a Streptococcus mutans and Lactobacilli will be the major causes for the tooth decay, right? Coming to the caries can be described according to the occlusion, extent and rate. So according to the location, it can be a primary caries. A primary caries can be a original lesion of the tooth. Morphology, there are three types. That is a pit and fissure caries, smooth surface caries and root surface caries. The pit and fissures are more commonly seen in the occlusal surface of the molars and premolars. And smooth surface caries are generated from the smooth surface of the area of tooth that are coming by the plaque. Especially the smooth surface caries can be seen on the lower anteriors and the upper anteriors, where the more amount of smooth surface can be getting involved in this type of plaque accumulation areas. And the root surface caries are senile caries. This is mostly seen in the near the cervical region or near lower the cervical region. You can see the environmental of calcification can be, decalcification can be done by the plaque accumulation. So this is an example or a diagram representation of the pit and fissure cavity, smooth surface cavity and root cavity. So this is the idea for what type of caries is. So if you see this one, this is nothing but it's a pit and fissure caries. This is also a pit and fissure caries. So this is the root caries, right? So coming to the secondary caries or recurring caries. Secondary caries, nothing but the caries which is happening after the treatment is done. That is even after the treatment is done or any type of restorations given to the tooth, particular tooth, but the patient's the next level of treatment plan is, that is the next level of protection is not done properly. That is the cleansing of the mouth or normal tooth brushing is not done properly. This can be leaded to the secondary caries or recurring caries. In the junction of the tooth, the restoration of the tooth and may undergo the restoration areas. So coming to the according to extents, can be incipient or cavitated. Incipient caries are very much reversible caries, and cavitated caries, which is a irreversible caries. Incipient is the first stage of a caries. So the first stage of caries are very much initially we can see some amount of white spots. That is the normalized localized remineralization can be seen or demineralization can be seen under the once the demineralization is happening, below the remineralization cycle also started to do. But if the progression is not stopped by any type of protection like fluoridated toothpaste or any type of thing, it can lead to a cavitated lesion, which can, as the time also the dietary factors and the local factors which make sure the cavitated lesions can be seen. The cavitated lesion, that means it involves the enamel dentin approaching the more amount of dentin also is removed because of the demineralization, which cannot be reproduced later. So in this case, the patient might be having some amount of black stains or black spots or whichever is more amount of caries is seen. The patient may be having some amount of burrowed area. This burrowed area is called as a dental caries. So in this case, the cavitated lesions needed a ideal treatment of choice is a restoration. If incipient caries is there, the type of treatment plan is fluoridated varnishes or any type of fluoridated toothpastes or pit and fish sealants can be given in a younger cases. These are the treatment options. Okay. So incipient caries is less than half the thickness of enamel. Normal, a small amount of caries which can be remineralized because with the help of adjunct supportive materials like toothpaste, mouthwashes or anything like that. So next is according to rate. The rate is nothing but the same thing, but how much amount of activity is going on. It can be as fast as slow. So acute is called as a rampant caries and the chronic is called as arrested caries. That means it refers to disease that is rapid damage a tooth. And the chronic caries is slow. It may be arrested after several active phases. That means if you take an example, as you say, if a person is not studying well, if someone is implementing some good knowledge to him, if he is not more அவனுக்கே அந்த அறிவு இல்லைன்னா you will not take into the consideration. So what will happen, there is a acute phase of study lowing because of some personal issues or anything. But if the teacher if the student is having some amount of courtesy to study a little more and put some effort, he can come up. That time he can get some good marks. The same thing, the chronic arrested caries is meaning that the acute caries can be treated as fast as possible. But the chronic caries is even after repeating the same thing by the parents or even after by the teachers or friends, everyone telling the same thing, but he is not giving any type of effort to it. So he will be very much regularized with it. So this can leads to the what to say, it can lead to a more amount of damage, but in a very slow progress. At last it will be given none. It will be, you will become fail in the exams, or you will not be getting passed through its exam. That is a way of rate. So other terminology we are having to related to caries are backward caries, forward caries and residual caries. Backward caries is nothing but when the spread of caries along the DE, that is the dental enamel junction, exceed the caries in a contagious enamel caries extended to its enamel from junction, that is called as backward caries. That is from the DAG to the inside cavity lesion is called as the backward caries. Forward caries are frank caries when the caries cone in the enamel is larger or at least the same size as the dentin. So residual caries is nothing but some caries which is left over even after the restoration is done. That can be done, that can be intentionally can be left, or sometimes we will not find it in our way. It can accidentally, it can be seen there. If it is also there, it will produce the secondary caries information. So this is an example for a forward caries and backward caries. So this is the enameloplasty. So enameloplasty is nothing but it's a removal of the shallow enamel development fissure or pit to create a smooth saucer shape surface that can be self-cleansable or easily cleaned. So sometimes if you have some amount of rough surface, that is a very productive factor for getting the caries or plaque accumulation. In that time you should be make sure that the area is smooth from caries. You should smooth the area that is from the free of the any type of frictional attraction. So that can be done with a process called enameloplasty, right? Next is process prophylactic odontomy. Procedure involves minimally preparing and restoring the amalgam or development structural unification of the enamel such as a pit and fissure. Sometimes in younger age patients you can see more amount of prominent fissures, pits and fissures. The prominent pits and fissures are mainly prone for more amount of plaque accumulation. In that cases, we should make sure the prominent pits and fissures are drilled with a small burr, which is mainly done intentionally, and the upper area is sealed with some amount of pits and fissure sealants to provide pit and fissures are not more prominent. It is more smooth enough for self-cleansable, as well as the plaque or any food substances not getting into the deep shallow pockets. So that will prevent the any type of caries attraction or food attraction which leads to the caries progression. Okay. Infected dentin and affected dentin. Actually, the terminology is totally changed now. Infected dentin, affected dentin totally changed. It's not more or it's not called as infected and affected. It is called as a what to say soft dentin, hard dentin. It's not called as a infected dentin or as affected dentin anymore. It's not called as. Okay. So the caries dentin consists of two thin six layer of your outer and inner. The outer layer is called as infected dentin. It is not remineralizable and it is more discouraged, should be removed. That means the layer which is more smooth and is more leathery. If you take the when you see like if you scrape something, it is coming like a layered area that is more soft and not easy to clean it. It's called as the infected dentin. The next is the affected dentin. Inner layer of the caries dentin is called as affected dentin. Can be remineralized in the tooth, so it should be preserved. That means more of the times takes place the affected dentin are clean, very much seen. So in that phase, you should not take the affected dentin, which will cause the more amount of problem to the tooth. So non-caries tooth defects, it is not defect because of a caries. That is a term called as non-caries cervical lesions. So what are the names you can see in that non-caries tooth defects? First is abrasion. Abrasion is nothing but abnormal friction because of any type of external objects, or mainly due to the poor brushing habits. So it is prominently you can see some V-shaped notch in the gingival portion of the facial aspect of the tooth. Okay. So attrition. Attrition is a mechanical wear of incision or occlusal surface because of functional or parafunctional movement of the mandible by the tooth-to-tooth contact or two occlusal surface which is having a more amount of vigor action, that is friction, which produces the more amount of wearing of the tooth away, which can lead to the sensitivity and less amount of tooth mastication process. So next is erosion. Erosion is nothing but is a loss of tooth structure surfaced by a chemomechanical action without any type of role of microorganisms. Mainly due to what erosion can be done because of the any type of soft drinks, aerated drinks like Coke, Pepsi, or any type of pregnancy that is sometimes regurgitation or any type of gas esophageal reflux disease. In these cases, you can see the erosion practice. So next is abfraction. Abfraction is a very shaped disease which is mostly seen in the cervical regions of tooth because of the heavy eccentric occlusal forces. Also causes idiopathic erosion. Sometimes the patients will have a very poor occlusal status which can lead to some type of abfractions. So next is a fracture. Fracture is a break in continuity of tooth surface result of the traumatic injuries. Fractures are complete three types: incomplete, complete, and fracture without involving the pulp. So incomplete fractures are not completely without involving the pulp, called as green stick fracture. Is a very sensitive condition. Complete fracture are non-involving vital pulp. It is a pain not associated, but the necessary treatment is very much indicated. The third one, which is involving the pulp, which needs the any type of pain, should be relieved with the help of a root canal therapy or any type of pulp capping procedures, or sometimes can be extracted. So this is the case of a tooth which is involving the pulp. The second one will be in the tooth only involving the dentin level. So non-hereditary enamel hyperplasia, amelogenesis infecta, dental infecta, these are the other non-carious lesions of the tooth surface. So coming to the tooth preparation terminologies. So the tooth preparation having terminologies are mainly a cavity. Always we say cavity. So what is a cavity? Cavity is nothing but a defect in the tooth enamel or both in enamel and dentin because of the caries process. So what is called as cavity preparation? So that is a mechanical preparation which is done for restoring the form and function of the tooth to provide the ideal aesthetic material or any type of material which can be giving the form and function that can be given as before, like the patient's having. So the cavity preparation is totally changed. Now the term called as a tooth preparation. Moreover, it's not called as cavity preparation, so it's called as tooth preparation. So the tooth preparation can be a simple tooth preparation or compound tooth preparation or complex tooth preparation. Simple is the thing but the cavity preparation done only for the one tooth surface. That is any surface, that is occlusal surface or can be a mesial surface or a distal surface. Okay. Next is compound tooth surface, which is involving the two surfaces. That means class 2 cavities. That means any type of cavity which is involving the both the sides. That is MOD. You see occlusal distal, this can be taken into account. Complex is nothing but is having a more than 3 surfaces. That means it's involving the buccal, mesial and distal, occlusal. All the 4 aspects is involving. That is called as a complex tooth preparation. That complex tooth preparation involves the pins, slots, screws. It can be given as an example of a tooth preparation and restoring the capabilities. So this is the example of the tooth preparation. This type is called as a compound. This is called as a simple. Okay. So coming to the abbreviations which is more commonly used in our dental field every day. So some teacher will be telling make the MO in 3.6 or MOD in 2.6 like that. So sometimes they will say occlusal surface should be done. They will be writing the things in a make MO or MOD. On your record also it is given as MO MOD. So in that time you should be able to know what is that MO stands for, MOD stands for. That will be coming into this thing. So all the letters will be capital, that is MO or TO, everything will be capital. The O stands for occlusal surface, MO stands for mesial and occlusal surface, MOD stands for mesial, occlusal and distal surface. That is the mesial as well as the occlusal as well as the distal surface is also involved. And DO is called as disto-occlusal, that is a distal surface as well as the occlusal surface is involved. Okay. Coming to the tooth preparation walls, the tooth preparation having walls are mainly sometimes my teacher will be saying that make the internal wall rounded, make the axial wall rounded, or make the axial wall is not having some proper side, cavus surface angle is not rounded like that. They will be telling some terminologies but you will not be able to understand. So we should know the terminology is very fine to know the exact area of preparation. So internal wall nothing but it is a prepared surface having some internal boundaries. There can be internal or external. So that is called as internal wall. Internal wall is nothing but if I am drawing a cavity, this is called as external wall. This is internal wall. So axial wall is nothing but axial wall is nothing but in a class 2 series you can see like this. So this is a gingival seed. This is called as axial wall. So I will be drawing like this. So this is a tooth surface. So in this area you will be seeing this is the gingival seed. This is called as axial wall. So axial wall is the internal wall parallel to the surface of the tooth. That means this will be more parallel, be straight when compared to the internal surface. If you see the internal area also, it will be straight. That means if I draw a 3-dimensional view, I understand that. So this is the gingival seat. This is the axial wall. This is the axial wall. This is the gingival seat. So if you see the internal area, this also will be a straight pulp. You will having only one plane. Okay. Next is pulpal wall. Pulpal wall is nothing but where you see the pulp horn. So this is the pulpal horn. So this is the pulpal area. This is called as a pulpal floor. This is called as a pulpal wall. Okay. Next is flora seat. As I told before, is a pulpal floor. Enamel wall, which is outside the surface, called as enamel. When you come inside, it is called a tendinal wall. Okay. And in this picture, you can see all the external internal walls. Internal walls are two types: the pulpal and axial wall. And you can see the external walls: the distal, facial, lingual, and gingival. So two preparation angles: line angle, point angles. The line angles are nothing but the junction of the two planar surfaces. Mainly the orientation can be two types. You can do internal line angle and external line angle. The line angles are morely should be rounded in a class 1 or class 2 amalgam preparations. And point angle is the junction of three planar surfaces with the different orientations. So these are the external line angles and point angles for the various two parameters. So cavo surface angle and cavo surface margin. What is a cavo surface angle? Cavo surface is not an external surface area where the bulk of the restoration is getting more amount of adjust. That means last structure we are going to restore. In that area, the angle should be very much smooth enough to get the restorative material inside the area. If the cavo surface margin is not that much, very much will build or very much is not rounded, so that can lead to the fracture of the restoration. So cavo surface angle is angle of the two structure formed by the junction of the prepared wall and the external two surface. So this almost will be equal. The actual junction is called as a cavo surface margin. So as I told before, this is the angle. So this, if you draw a line, this is the angle which is formed, is called as a cavo surface angle. Okay. If the cavo surface margin or cavo surface angle is not more 90 degree for amalgam restorations. So coming to the classification of preparation, G.V. Black who distinguishes the cavity designs from class 1 to class 5. Class 6 is the person who invented is Dr. Simon. Okay, as I told before, class 1 involves the normal simple cavity design, occlusal pits and fissure, occlusal tooth and lingual pits of the maxillary incisors. These are the three conditions you can see here. Class 1 cavity. In class 2 cavity involves both the proximal surface of the posterior teeth. It can be a mesoocclusal or distocclusal cavity preparation, or mesoocclusal distal cavity preparation can be also involved. In class 3 cavity, you can mostly seen in the anterior to mainly the proximal regions without involving the incisor edge. Okay, and class 4 would be a scenario. In the scenario, you can see the incisor edges also involved, proximal area also is involved. Class 5 cavity is a gingival 1/3 of the facial and lingual surface of the all the teeth in the premolar and molar especially. Class 6 is discussed by the Dr. Simon. This classification is mostly seen in the anterior teeth of the occlusal cusp, heights of the posterior teeth, and incisor edges of the anterior teeth. So coming to the ergonomics. So whatever you do, ergonomics is a field. That means a person who is sitting, like everything is having some standard protocols. So if you're going to drive a car, the driving the car doesn't mean you should be upright position or in a slight slanting position like that. If steering wheel எப்படி பிடிக்குமோ அது everything is having some amount of knowledge in that. So if you're not going to the point, you will not get enough what to say comfortability in a long time run. So in the long time run, if you're not practicing the same way, if you're going to slant and ride or anything, if you do like that, your muscles in your body will be getting many type of problems. So in dental field also, the main problem which is more commonly seen is back pain. That is moreover you can see the lower back pain when you enter the third year. When you enter the third year, if you start doing cases, we will feel the lower back pain is more common. That is due to the poor ergonomics or a poor chair position of the patient as well as the operator. So mostly this condition is called as a work-related musculoskeletal disorders. So you should be very much aware of this problem and how to handle this type of problem in the dentistry. You should understand. Okay. So what is ergonomics? Ergonomics is Greek. Ergos means Greek, meaning the work, and nomos is a study. So literally to the study of the work. Okay. Ergonomics study of work including the task or the technology and the environment in relation to the human capabilities. If the human is able to do some job, human doesn't be able to do some other jobs. If you do flexible your arm more than the limit, it can break. The same way, if you can provide the limits, but you should have some limit oriented thing. If you're not doing the limit oriented thing, it can lead to dangerous situations. Okay. So what is the goal design? What is the main design goals? So improve the job process by eliminating unnecessary tasks, steps and effort, and reduce the potential exertion of the injury, and minimize the mental and physical fatigue, and leverage workers' life skills, knowledge of the jobs to redesign the work to increase the satisfaction, comfort, and moral and fulfillment. These are the main. Satisfaction is the more important tool of the anyone's job. So this thing can be more comfortably done with a very good stature. If your stature is not good enough to provide a good treatment, you can able to get more amount of stress only. So coming to the consequence of poor design, that is a poor orientation of work. So this can lead to discomfort or chronic pain. It can be linked to more amount of accidents or injuries and fatigue, which cause a more amount of increased errors. That means if your body is more tired, you can able to work. That will be very much, you will become more tired enough and you can't be able to do the job. At last you can lead to the more amount of arrogance or any type of unhealthiness of your patient. And you will start blabbering to the patient like, I don't want to do like that, you will do. These are the work-related musculoskeletal disorders. More commonly you can see for the dentist is a lower back pain. Tendonitis is nothing but when the tendons will be having some amount of inflammations. Moreover, your hands, your fingers are having some tendons, which will lead to a more amount of joint problems can be leading complete, and the epicondylitis and bursitis and carpal tunnel syndrome and tumors. The carpal tunnel syndrome is one more common term which can be seen because sometimes the operator was doing the procedure for longer time, and morely the the aerator, the person is using the aerator which is not serviced properly or oiled properly, which can lead to long term run with a more amount of sound and noise and vibration, which can lead to the carpal tunnel syndrome. That means the patient's hand fingers, that is the operator's hand fingers, will have some amount of pain while they are doing the works, or some amount of the feel of vibration can be seen in their palm, and some amount of raised finger problem which can lead to the mainly it affects the fingers extremities. So OSHA, the guidelines made provided by 2004, they made a program conducted for the dentists actually. The aim primary is participation and also identification. So to avoid this type of work related musculoskeletal disorders. So what is why you want to know the dentistry in work medial musculoskeletal disorders more concerned dentistry? So it is nothing but disorders of muscles, nerves, ligaments, tendons, joints, cartilage, and spinal disc. It can be very much commonly seen in the any type of dentist who is having a long-term practice. So here the dentist which having a more amount of job with their hands and your movement parts are very much higher than a normal doctor or any type of MBBS doctors. The dentists are more amount of person who are doing to go for a sitting dentistry and they used to do the long term job and from morning 9 to 5 or 5 to 9 after that college hours they close for clinic they will be having 5 to 9 also they will be used to work. This makes the burden to the body that make sure the ideal positioning is not perfect enough. You will be getting more amount of complications to your body which can actually gradually increases as the age is also increasing if you not managed it properly at the right time. Okay, so the most commonly seen disorders which is 29.5% of the cases are described by the musculoskeletal disorders and very least we can see the disease on the nervous system, that is the movement of hand and legs is very much what to say constricted in the way of thing. And mainly sometimes now the patient now the doctors dentists having some problem called as hearing loss and eye strain, because as I told before the suction or any type of handpiece which is not worked properly for longer time, it can lead to more amount of this type of problem. So what are the work related to muscular disorders in the dental care providers? As a risk of this one, it includes the neck, shoulders, upper extremities, and the back. Mainly, these are the areas which are more concerned for the WHO. So, compared to the males and females, who's having more amount of problem is the mainly you can see the males. So, because the male practitioners have more amount of extremities, mainly due to the extraction or any type of restorative procedures, they are more concern for this type of problem. And mainly if you see the knee problems are very much high in the females, because they are more prone for osteoporosis or any type of calcium lowering level. It can be seen in the mostly they can be having a more amount of this type of problem as the age increases. And males are more they are having the problem on the necks and shoulders and upper backs and the lower back, because more of an equivalence you can see in that area of lower back more for the males and females. So factors contributors to this thing: repetitive motions, example scaling, polishing, excessive force during the tooth extraction. This is caused the most commonly factors for the work mediated musculoskeletal disorders. So any other factors, you can see the photos, it can be static neck or back and shoulder postures. See the doctor is more bending on the right side or left side, and one more patient is going towards inside the mouth itself getting. So this will lead to more amount of the problem related to the dentist. So and another factor is we can have a more amount of carpal tunnel system because of the grasping the small intestines for the longer time. And mainly we in a prosto lab or anywhere we used to polish the dentures, or we have to trim the dentures, which leads to more amount of dust and other things, and we were using the prolonged time, which can also leads to this type of disorders. And mainly the manifest systems can be avoiding this type of things. The manifest system also make sure you should have ideally you should have some working distance, depth of field, declination angle, convergence angle, magnification factors, and light needs. If all these things are clear enough, you will be not having any type of neck and shoulder problems. But if you are having anything is getting any type of deviation in this, we will have a more amount of musculoskeletal disorders problems. So mainly the operator chair, deals the more important thing. If a chair is a perfect, if it is perfect for the each one is having each body type, The body type means a very comfortable chair for one person needs another comfortable chair. If I need one more chair, I need another chair. Like that, they will be changing on. So mainly, the what to say, the lumbar support should be there, height adjustment should be there, footrest should be there, and the wrap around body and support around us, and sleepers upholstery should be there, which makes sure the doctor is having a very clean or comfortable way of work experience on the patient. The patient chair should be mainly the promote the patient comfort and maximize the patient access, and even make sure all the trays, all the instruments should be on the very easy access. It should not be very close enough. The close also it will make sure the instruments are getting some amount of scratch or anything, any type of accidents can be happen. It is more close. So make sure it is having ideally 2 centimeters or 2 inches gap between the operator as well as the instrument access. If the instrument access is little, if you want to make it more easier, you can have a dental assistant. So dental assistant can be given the appropriate instruments on the time to make easy job and very easy to convey the things to the patient's head. The patient position. So position strategy, mainly the elbows are elevated not more than 30 degrees, and make sure that this in patient chair when changing for different quadrants till the patient has needed. Wherever you want to make the patient to change the hair, already between the standing and sitting, it is the best break for 20 to 30 minutes. Why they saying to take some rest before doing a long time question? While we using to work for a longer time, we are going for 1 to 1.5 hours working for one extraction. That makes sure you are getting more fatigue enough, which will not break. What is it? It will make you mentally you will be getting compromised because and physically also you will be getting compromised. In the time, the patient also will be getting some amount of helpless feel. So to make sure that both the sides should be having an equal balance, you should be able to have some 20 to 30 minutes of break each side. That means you should not take a break. That means you can just make the patient wait for a long time like that. So the blood will be oozing. You should not make it. Make sure you will be standing and sitting. Dentistry should be done simultaneously to avoid the any type of discomfort to as well as for the patient as well as for yourself. So then that means doesn't mean the patient should be also be standing. Make sure you should be standing, you should be sitting, not the patient. The patient is sitting and standing also means it will be in a very bad aspect. So don't think like that. Okay. On-site or some stretching is mainly the legs and hands should be somewhat stiff enough for longer time. So make sure some small stretches can be given or some relaxations. So what are the mainly work practice? What you mean? Thing is maintain the neutral position, reduce the force requirements. That means if the instruments are not sharp enough, you will be giving more amount of pressure. So make sure the instruments are sharp and well maintained and very much well automated in the handpiece instead of manual instruments when you are going to use. Mainly the scalers and other things, if it is going for a manual, it will take a longer time and it's a very hard time for getting one quadrant to clean at the very faster manner. And full arm strokes rather than a wrist strokes. That means the strokes should be coming from the arms, not from the wrist. When you're giving from the wrist, it will give a more amount of pressure, which can lead to the probably a more amount of wrist pain. So next is the scheduling. So scheduling of appointments provide a sufficient recovery time for staff to avoid the chronic muscular fatigue. So that means the increase in treatment time for more difficult patients. That means always make sure your clinic is having a schedule chart. That means if you see that patient is going for a long period of time, if you're going to start a patient who is having a very longer procedure, make sure it's having at the first appointment. So the first appointment will take a longer time. You will be getting more amount of energy. Morning if you come, it will start with the work very calm and composed. But if you keep the appointment very late, actually you will be getting more amount of fatigue and you will be starting with this case and you will not be able to finish off. You will be in hurry enough to make your body to get some rest. This will make a compromise in your treatment plan, and as well as will make sure the quality of the treatment approach also is getting very much lower, right? So the already heavy and light calculus patient with a flexible scheduling system, daily procedures with the same appointment, shortened patient recall can be done for a very easy access. So what is the summary of this first part of the ergonomics will be the good ergonomic designs of the tools, processes, furniture and doors improve the personal comfort, health, moral and productivity and readiness. And students are effective working as a part of a team, improve the posture and positioning and maintain the good work habits. And it's critical to seek some prompt medical aids for the symptoms of ergonomic stress or work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Okay. Dental and student observation can be done and simultaneously for easy work. So these are more commonly seen twisting also we can able to see in our lab. So ideally speaking, when you're going for the typho work or a clinical practice, we used to strain our back to see the tooth. So when using the pincer grip, that means the one side of the hand finger is used to get the other side of the hand finger, so you're able to visualize the work of. So the back, if you see this student, the back is literally like this. So if you see this, the stool is straight but the head is gone down. So what is wrong in this is the support should be straight and the visualization should be like this. The head should be somewhat come little back, so that will make sure the stool and as well as the patient operator is easy to work. The simulation lab tested also can be make sure. So one more thing, hunched shoulders. You can see both the side of the shoulders is more hunched. That means this area, if you see this area is more hunched, this makes more amount of back problems. 90% pain will be seen in this type of cases. This is a pincer grasp. Pincer grasp is just a device which will make sure this is the device which will make sure you will be ideally having some distance from the patient mouth and yourself having a straight posture. If the pincer grasp is not there, you make sure if you practice the pincer grasp well you are going to do with the patient work later, it will be easy. You will be very much comfortable when doing the real time patients. So this is the case of neck bend and both the sides of the shoulder, one side of the shoulder is very much raised. So this is the condition you can see where the students having a more amount of fluffy hairs on the work of field, which will also make sure the quality of treatment is very much compromised. So coming to the patient position, it is morely supine and patient heads even the headrest and mandible chin down, maxillary forward, chin up. Mandibular you should be chin down, maxillary work you should be chin up. So this is the way of the patient position. The clinical position, make sure it's having a neutral position, seated position, where the arm should be in a parallel to the floor. That means both the arm, that is the arm as well as the leg and the foot, everything should be in a parallel to the floor. If it is little more curved also, it will be having a more amount of difficulty in operating the work. So mainly the eye is directed downward flux down in a 10 to 20 degree max and 40 to 16 inches distance between the patient's mouth and the clinician's eyes, especially when you are using the loops or any type of magnification devices. The knee spread apart, it will be slightly greater than 90 degree, which makes sure you're able to easily access the area of clearance. This is the correct position for seating. So these all you all know earlier itself by all these things. So for mandible, maxillary, everything is done. So these are some examples. So these are doctors who are practicing their way of work before doing the clinical practice in a typhoon. The shoulders are too high in this. What about this position? Somewhat okay, I feel. So this is more very more common to see this type of problem, and this is a good working position. I feel it's okay. So at last the practice makes the perfect. You can see it's moreover like a pile of cards. It's having a straight posture till the last without any type of changes. This is the perfect example for a correct position of the chair position, and ergonomics will be maintained in the departments. So if you do this, you will be getting practice. The practice makes the man perfect. That is the only proverb we can say in this. So that will make sure your practice makes every day small improvement can make you sure you will get a very much good output in your life. So that's it, I think so. So these are the assignment for the revision class. So G.V. Black's classification of dental caries with diagrams and what are the merits and demerits seen in the ergonomics. Now make sure these assignments are submitted on or before by 31st by 9 a.m. and make sure the assignments are submitted towards these two email IDs, the audience endo and online to gmail.com. So both the things should be mailed, and make sure you're having any type of problems related to the assignment submissions or anything towards the WhatsApp group. And if you and your the MCQs also will be in there at from 4 to 6, and try please attend the MCQs area. So this is a final warning for all, because many of them are not attending the MCQs because of stating some issues are there. If you are having some issues, please raise up the voice and tell us, so we can able to know and we can try to rectify it later on. Okay, so thank you very much, and see you. Take care. Bye.